it is a good day because you're listening to KDWA. Hi, I'm your host, Kelly Casey, and today in studio, we're going to learn a little bit about the beautification of our great town of Hastings. And here to help us do that is Sarah Hodder, and we'll tell her, how are you going to help do that, Sarah?
Thank you, Kelly. Yes, so the Arts Task Force has come up with the idea to beautify our warming house that lives down at Levy Park during the winter at the rink down there. And so that is why Yvette and Amir are here. They submitted a proposal when we had a call for art a couple of months ago, and their proposal was hands down the best one, and that's,
And we are joined by the artists in residence, and they're here in the KDWA studio, so thank you for doing that. And that is Yvette Cabrera. Yes. And Amir Shakir, right?
Yes.
Thank you very much, both of you, for being here. Let's back up a little bit and find out a little bit about the history. Now, people who went down to the river last year saw this wonderful storage container that was beige and a little boring. It served the purpose. It was really well tricked out so that it has heat and nice benches and a great place to, and even a window for the view. But Sarah, tell us a little bit why this project then came to light. You have a background in art, correct?
I do, yeah. I got my degree in visual arts from University of Wisconsin River Falls. So yeah, it's kind of fell into my lap, and it was.
It did. Well, because you happen to be you work for the city. In what capacity?
I work in human resources, actually.
Okay. Well, nothing more human than arts. So that was a natural thing for you to be involved in. And so tell us about the process of deciding that we really need to do something more with that if it was going to be a viable part of the beautiful landscape down there.
Sure. Yeah. So it's kind of a unique use of the structure itself anyway. And because it's down in that park, it's highly visible, highly accessible to a lot of people. So we thought, if this is going to be down here, and it's down here in the most, boring, dull-colored season, we may as well amp it up a little bit, give it some interest, and then hopefully, it'll bring people down to see it, and hopefully, down the line, get a year-round use out of it.
So then the decision was made by the Arts Task Force to put some funding into it and see if they could find someone who would submit a proposal, correct?
Yeah.
And how was that process done?
Yeah, so it's similar to other requests for proposals that are done throughout the city. So you kind of advertise that, we're looking for people to work on this project, and here's how much money we have. And then you just open it up and wait for people to submit, and we got 4 submissions for this project. Yeah, so.
Okay, so tell us about that process then. You're looking through those artwork, and you're thinking about the application, and was it a really wide variety of what people wanted to do with that?
They were all paintings, so that's kind of the standard submissions we've got. Mm-hmm. They varied a lot though in the content or what the concept was. But we were really looking for something that we thought a lot of the residents and maybe visitors of Hastings would relate to or find interesting, and would fit with kind of the Hastings feel, and Yvette and Amir's concept kind of hit it right on the head there.
And it certainly did, and we're going to turn it over to the artists now. Welcome once again, Yvette Cabrera and Amir Shakir. Tell us about the concept. Tell us about submitting your artwork, and what kind of background do you have in art?
Well, thank you for having us here, by the
Sure.
way.
Glad to be here.
We're glad to be here, and this beautiful city that has so much nature behind it, and
I hear you love our trees.
Oh my God, and the birds as well. So.
Well, that played a part in your decision, didn't it?
Yes, it did. As far as our background is concerned, I've been doing art for about 7 years now, and when we formed our team initially about 3 years ago, we started to do some mural works, and
our team is called the Color Dreamers, and we basically started in Miami. We had studios across the street from each other, which is where we met, and there's an arts district in Miami called Wynwood that's a very, very vibrant area. There's like hundreds of murals there in a small city block area that developed rather quickly over like a 10-year period. And that was very influential in our doing murals and started getting into that process. And so, we met and we started to do murals together and decided to form a team and become more formal. And obviously we've started to submit to these types of processes, and we were successful with our submission here, and we're having a great time doing it and putting together the concept for it. And as far as what the concept is for this particular project, based on the tree swallow bird and the yellow warbler, and we combined that together with some two-dimensional elements to fit around the container using kind of a similar color palette that we've used in a variety of our different murals. That is sort of like a teal green and a combination of cool colors that matches our contrasts against some of the warm colors of the yellows and the birds, and gives a lot of sharp contrast. So it helps to make an area more vibrant and interesting. And I hear, especially here, that it's going to be extra vibrant because it's so sort of gray and white here when winter really kicks in.
Yeah, it does not look like Miami.
Yeah. So we're hearing that it's going to be it's going to stand out a lot in the environment. So we're looking forward to seeing some pictures of that, and hopefully coming back up here.
Well,
and
that's
taking a look at
a
it while
given.
it's there.
You must come back and have some s'mores and maybe put on a pair of skates. That is where it's going to be placed. So that's a great idea too. Now, are you known for a certain color combination? I mean, do you have some sort of a kind of what you're known for, and when people are looking for that, they come to you?
A few of the murals that we've done, we gradually started to drift towards a similar color palette that has a lot of cool colors in it that are basically like teals, sort of a mix between greens and blues. And we over time realized that we both we both really like that color, the particular like teal green sort of color. So that color seems to come up a lot in our murals, and more we've decided that that's kind of something that we want to use often. So yeah, that the teal sort of green cool color palette is something that we use a lot, and I guess over time that'll probably become more of our signature. And from the past few murals that we've done at this point, I would say that we're probably pretty well known for that color palette.
Well, that's great. How many other murals have featured this subject matter, the birds, the nature? Is that something you're known for as well?
Well, in this series, I would say that for just the past 2 public art murals is where we started to come about the concept of having birds within the artwork. And really because we were inspired by Audubon and the way that he went across America and depicted all the birds. So we wanted to do that and bring the book to life in each city. So when we started submitting to a lot of the city projects, we started to bring that to life as well. And that's kind of why we've had this series. And some of our other murals have had different themes depending on the community and what their background is, what their cultural background is. And we really like to tie it into the area so that it resonates well with them. So.
And you did your homework. You found out we were a bird city.
Yes.
Okay. And so that was very influential there. Talk about, too, Sarah, is this going to be a year-round presentation of this usage for this? It's just been used as a warming house prior.
Correct, yes. We don't have anything lined up right now, but we do want to start talking about what the possibilities might be. And going into that, you got to think of, who's going to maintain this facility if it is open, what's going to be in it, and those kind of things will be formed kind of as we meet with, the Parks Department. It's their structure, so you got to kind of find something that's agreeable for everyone. Sure.
Well, once again, we are talking with Sarah Hodder, and she's with the city, and she's the lead staff person for the Arts Task Force. And that was a group of 7 people who decided that we needed to find some better way to represent that shipping crate that they, like I said, we had a chance to go down there and skate, and it's a wonderfully placed, and people really appreciate that being there, and the ambiance is really great, but beige. So we brought in this wonderful arts team called Color Dreamers, and they're with us today, Yvette Cabrera and Amir Shakir, and they are in the process of transforming that beige into something beautiful. How's it coming?
It's coming along good. We're getting through the process. We've got a few more days left, and we should be getting to our final stages. And I guess the most difficult part about the process has been just familiarizing ourselves with the weather difference from where we live and other projects that we've done. that normally we don't have to deal with so much cool temperatures and sort of moisture in the air. And as most artists would, you don't get your creative juices flowing often until late in the evening, or you might work all day, and then as the evening comes around, you start to really feel like, okay, we got to drive it home, for these last few hours of the night. And we did that like our first night or something that we were here. I think it was our first night, and we realized the next day that probably wasn't a good idea. That we had wet paint from the night before, and realized that we're going to have to really narrow our work time to when the sun is up and right before the sun goes down. So as far as the way that we sort of schedule things and plan things, because obviously there's a lot of planning for a process like this, we try to make everything as predictable as possible. We had to shift some of that planning around and to make sure that we accomplish the project on time. We're doing good.
Yeah, well, one of those accommodations is that you're no longer doing it outside on site. It had to be moved indoors.
Yeah, there was some concerns about, there was conversation initially about working on the project inside the garage from the beginning. But we were kind of concerned about that because initially we wanted to spray the container instead of brushing it just to get the foundation colors on the container because there's so many divots and angled shapes on it. We didn't really want to do that in the shop, and then we didn't want to can you move it out and move it back in and move it back out?
Because it's sizable.
It's not easy to move.
Not easy to move. So yeah, they came yesterday actually and moved it in, and that was an interesting process, watching them move it. And it's a 20-foot container. It's not huge, but most garage doors are not that big, so it was a little tedious. No injuries, nothing was damaged. We managed to get it in there, and so we're working on the interior now, and we'll be able to drive it home with our creative juices.
Well, that's great. And then, do you have a time limit as to when you need to be done with this?
We're scheduled to leave Saturday, so
it's crunch time
I think
for us.
we had planned for like 9 days, and the first day it rained, so that was the day that we were planning to spray the containers, and we had a delay immediately. And, there's obviously been some little delays here and there. We're kind of figuring out the way the weather conditions are and just what we're going to have to do to be able to navigate it around the conditions, the environmental conditions, it's been a learning experience, which is great. I mean, every one of these murals that we've ever done, we always come away with learning experiences, and, we'll talk after the project and kind of figure out what we did wrong, how we can do things better, how to analyze making the process more efficient, convenient and accurate so that we can negotiate everything beforehand and not be at the work site trying to figure out, maybe we should do this or maybe we should do that instead, and just really trying to lay things out so that it's a planned process.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you being here, and I did not realize that the time was so tight, so it makes your time even more valuable. So thank you very much for being here. Sarah, before we go, I just wanted to ask you, too, this is the second installation. The first one, remind us the first one.
The first one was done by an artist named Willisy Tynes. He's a Minnesota artist. The piece is called Nascent. It's down in the parking lot near Levy Park also.
Mm-hmm. And so this is a much bigger, more visible one. What's the future for the task force? Is there a lot more planned? What's the 5-year or 10-year goal for the task force?
Sure. Well, the task force when it was created, it was just a pilot program. It wasn't meant to be a long-term group. And it's actually outlived its expectancy, which was just for 2016. But then 2017 rolls around and we got another year of funding. So now we're doing this project, and then if we get another year of funding, we'll go with that. But it's kind of playing it by ear a little bit. We're just excited about having this huge piece of actual functional art down at Levy Park.
It is wonderful, and like I said, with the birds, when we first saw it debuted, we thought, my, that's going to look really great, but are they just going to use it in the wintertime? So was there a concern, because you knew that it was going to be a warming house initially, if they can't, find something else to do with it during the rest of the year, but was there a concern then with making it more of a winter theme, or did you make sure that you wanted to have something, living and vibrant the whole year round?
I would say from our perspective, we're in such a summer. We live in Florida. We're in year-round summer, so we're not even imagining winter. We're not even imagining it properly.
We may have, we may have to put little scarves on them. All right, so you may have to come back for that.
And go ahead.
We're hoping that it's a permanent installation. I think that the result will be something that will be great for the community, and once you see a 3D artwork that way and you're able to walk around it and see all different sides of it, you're probably not going to want to move it after that. You're going to say, well, why don't we just keep this here as like the permanent? And I think that, people will enjoy being able to visit it and see it. So hopefully it stays all year round and, doesn't get moved around.
Now, I know that most artists like to label their work. Some don't. Some have a problem with naming it. But you named yours Free Birds. Why?
Well, the last project that we did with birds, it was called Setting Free. And it's actually, it's a mural of like a kid's hands releasing a bird. It's actually a golden finch. And the idea of that concept kind of ties into this concept, and it's something that we want to do in different places in the future as well, where we just sort of keep the idea alive that freedom is necessary for these animals to be able to thrive, and that obviously here everyone knows that because there's so much variety of birds here and animals here, and there's hunters here, and a lot of people that hunt, they know that a lot of the funding that goes into conservation comes from hunting. So it's a circle of life there that, there's people who are like, well, you're a hunter. That's horrible. You go out and kill animals. But the hunters are like, well, we also protect animals. And part of what we're doing is conservation. And we're making sure that since our environment as humans, we throw off so much of the natural environment of animals, we have to figure out ways to try to conserve those environments and just sort of get out of their way and allow the animals to thrive the way that they would do if we weren't there impacting them so much. So the idea is just to allow birds to be free and allow their beauty to inspire us and, keep our environment just attractive, appealing, and interesting, sort of the same way that art does, in the sense that when there's art in an environment, it attracts people and it drives attention. And what you do with that environment, once that attention is there, that's up to the people that are in that community. But it will definitely draw energy and draw people to an environment. So.
And I'm sure that they will do that with this. And once again, the exhibit is going to be on display it's as a warming house initially. And we thank Sarah Hodder from the city coming in, and she's the lead staff person for the Arts Task Force. And then also our time-challenged artists. Thank you very much for being here. And that is Yvette Cabrera and Amir Shakir. They're known as the Color Dreamers. You can find out more about them on their website at www.colordreamers.com. And they're based in Miami, but I hope you will come back and see everyone enjoying this wonderful resource. Definitely. At Art on the Move here in Hastings. You've been listening to Community In Depth right here on KDWA AM 1460, FM 97.7. Have a good day.